Happy New Year. It's your host of About This Aging Thing, Sabrina. I hope everybody had a great New Year's Eve celebration, party, prayer, whatever you chose to do. I hope it was wonderful. We are glad to be back. And it's the first Sunday of the month. And we have our resident sexologist. She didn't quit. She came back, y'all. I'm so excited. Mistress Angela.
Hey. Hi. Happy New Year, everybody.
Right. Yes. What you do?
I
mean, that you can talk about.
I was going to say, I was low-key. I was low-key for New Year's.
We don't really know what low-key means. We don't.
I did a family outing for New Year's.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah,
That's
before
nice.
New Year's, that was a different conversation.
See what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about. So I have my glasses on, y'all. Y'all proud of me? Because we have Ask Mistress Angela. We're going to start the year off with Ask Mistress Angela, and I have to read, so y'all know what that means. I'm taking them off, and I don't know, because when I look at something else, it looks so big, because I have to look at the word.
I'm so happy that you're wearing your glasses today.
Thank you. It's a new year. It's a new year. We're also drinking water. I'm on a cleanse, and Mrs. Angela just didn't want to drink nothing. I don't know what her issue. What she want to do. What she want. Look at her glass. She had to have a fancy glass though.
I did.
It's water. Cheers.
It's special water.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
To a new year. Now listen. It is the year of 8 for my numerology people. I'm very excited. It is the year of Obatala for my Ifa people. It is the year of abundance for my spiritual people. I say this for people who know these things. It's also the year of the dragon. And you guys, I want you to research that if you're interested. It's very, very interesting. It's so interesting that my artistry in me is requiring for me to paint a dragon.
Ooh.
I've never painted a dragon before.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
But I feel compelled.
Can you make it into a phoenix, though? Like a dragon/phoenix for me?
Like coming from the ashes.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to that. Yes, I can do that. I also was thinking about whether I was going to make him in the shape of an 8, profound, or either make his scales 8s. We'll see.
It'll be a surprise to us all.
Yeah, I'll share it if I ever do it. Artists, we don't.
She's going to do it.
We don't ever know when we're going to do what we're going to do. So listen, we are talking about today our kings, the men, respectfully, of course. We have some questions for Mrs. Angela. This conversation came up over the holidays. And actually, I didn't get to tell you this. A friend called me yesterday.
Okay.
She's been dating a guy. They haven't been intimate, and they were intimate during the holiday season.
Ooh, holiday sex. Okay, sorry.
And he had some ED.
Okay.
Some erectile dysfunction. And she was like, Sabrina, I didn't know what to do. First of all, she really likes the guy. Second of all, he was very embarrassed.
Of course.
And she was like, I didn't know whether to hold him. I didn't know whether to leave. I didn't know what to do. She was like, what would you have done? And I told her, well, it depends.
Can't wait. Go ahead. Read.
I said, it depends on the situation and the person. Right? To me, if you try to hold some men, not all, that could be almost more emasculating, because if they're really an alpha man, they don't sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, for that reason, they don't want you to do this, right? Hold them. But I was like, I would probably lay on his chest and just be chill and let him start the conversation, if there is a conversation. Because to me, I don't want to have that conversation in bed. I want to find the piece of what we can do, right? And focus on that. If I really like the guy, right? I'm going to focus on that. And then maybe later, I told her maybe in a couple of days. She said they were having dinner on Saturday. I said maybe on Saturday at dinner, you can say, hey, I noticed that, I realized that, and I want to know how you feel, and what can I do, or what can we do together to, to work around it, to fix it, whatever. That's what I say. What do you say?
So depending on if dinner was out or inside, right? I think it would be a conversation to have at home, because most men are going to be really sensitive that somebody's listening to your conversation if you're out in public, right? Maybe sooner than a couple days, just kind of touching the conversation, because it's going to be in his head, and the longer it stays in his head, the harder it is for him to have a conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe stroking, having a slight conversation, say it's going to be okay, or depending on the person, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely do the conversation inside versus outside,
Right.
because people are very nervous about somebody overhearing that you're talking about their ED.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
I also told her, like, asked her, like, this is the first time he had sex. Maybe he was just really nervous.
Absolutely.
And maybe it's not ED. Maybe he just had a bad night. Guys have bad nights, right? Bad moments.
Yeah.
And maybe you should try it again before you say anything.
Right. So I would say that if he's over the 40 and plus club, if he's in the 40 and plus club, over 50% of men have ED issues. It could be short term, long term, and I don't know what we were going in the conversation today, but it could be short term, long term, like you said. It could be excitement. Maybe he hasn't had sex in a couple of years, and it's like, oh my God, did he ejaculate when that happened, or did it just not get up? I don't know.
It just didn't work.
It just didn't work. So it could have been nerves with that as well. So just kind of playing with it, maybe not sure how to. Men stay in their heads is just as much as women do, right? And once a person gets in their head, the phallus is not going to cooperate most of the time. Not like when you're in your 20s where it would just jump up when the wind blows, right?
Right.
Now you really got to be in that mood, even as a alpha man or whoever she's with, yeah. So it just didn't happen. So were they kissing and having erotic play before this happened, or did they just go straight into the sex? Do you know?
They were
having erotic play. So it could just be nerves. But when you had that conversation later, kind of gently say, so, how's it been going? When's the last time you had a checkup? How, depending on how deep your conversation is with the person, how much you know this person, and then kind of opening it up from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling Mr. Angela that I wanted to have this conversation because quite a few of friends, a family member, and a couple of my guy friends have actually personally shared their stuff with me, whether they be with a man or a woman, the relationship, they've shared that. And she also said that it never got erect, like the whole time. It's not like it got erect and it went down. It just never got erect. So I was like, okay. I told her, I said, we're going to be talking about this actually on the first show and to watch it.
Yeah.
So here we go with the questions. I asked some people, as I do when I do this, to send me some questions in about this subject, if they have any. So here's Alicia, and guess what? It's the first time we've done this that all 4 people said I can use their name.
Oh, that's what's up.
So I'm very excited. So first one is Alicia. She said, when your man is experiencing erectile dysfunction, when is a good time to talk about it with him? We kind of talked about that already. You want to add anything else to it?
Depending on how long you've been in a relationship with him, maybe that night later or the next morning, or depending on what it is, but definitely not while you're in the situation.
Right.
If they're being an asshole, then you might want to bring it up a little bit quicker, right? If they're making it seem like it's you and not a combination of things, then maybe check it a little earlier, right? And I say check it because it depends on how the person is handling the situation. If it's the next day, somebody you really care about, even if it's just a casual thing, still having that conversation, because sometimes men really do appreciate having that conversation. Like, have you been to the doctor lately? Have you had a checkup? What's your blood pressure like? Are you on meds? I know I talk about meds a lot and blood pressure a lot, but the majority of our men, a lot of our men have issues with that. So that's usually one of the big flags.
Right.
Did you change something recently? Did your diet change? Have you gained weight? So some different things to think about, and this approaching the conversation with the same sensitivity you would want that person to have with you. If you were experiencing some vaginal dryness, if your libido was off, if you don't like certain things, or your body has changed, or maybe you have an odor now, different things, do the same thing you would want given to you with the respect. I would not do it in a public place, as I said earlier, but do it gentle, right? And then also, if it's something going on, they're not really sure, if they still want to be intimate, then try some different things while you're intimate, right? So definitely have that conversation sooner than later in one-on-one. Make it lighthearted so it's not such a stressful conversation.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you for adding to that, because I kind of asked that twice. Sorry, y'all. But we can't ever get too much information, right? So I have James. James says, the last time I attempted to have sex, I was not able to, and the person who was not kind. Wow, you just said that. Now I'm extremely apprehensive. What steps should I take in case this happens again?
Wow. So, James, women can be very cruel, or your partners can be very cruel because they are in a heightened sensitivity space and they just want what they want. So, I apologize for that person being cruel, right? That's the conversation you need to have about how they addressed it during the process if you haven't, just to get it out for yourself. What was the first part of that question? I'm sorry.
They weren't. He had ED, and then they weren't kind, and he wants to make sure because of that he's very apprehensive.
Got it.
To do so, to get with someone else. So he wants to know what steps he should take to help make sure this doesn't happen to him again.
So depending on if it's with the same person, James, or another person, if it's the same person, again, having that conversation like, hey, the last time we got together intimately, you were kind of harsh. I was having some issues. Let's kind of work through that. I don't know where that issue came from. I don't know what it is. If it's a medical thing or if it was just something you said that kind of threw me off. Because men do the same thing as women do. We think that men are very one-dimensional.
Right.
But men also, if you say something cold and callous, like, I don't know, you got too much hair, you got gray hair on your balls. I don't know what it is, right? And that's a turn off. Whatever it is
right.
that somebody's saying in that moment, men are sensitive to that as well. Just like we are about our stomachs, we all are sensitive as we get older.
Right.
So depending on what the situation was, James, and if you want to be with this person again, address that conversation, what happened, and what you need to do to move forward. So maybe you guys have a code word. Maybe if you're not in the mood, maybe come up with something like water or whatever it is to make sure you guys are on the same page that, hey, I'm feeling a little apprehensive today. Wine. I don't want to do sex. I don't want to have penetration tonight. I want to be with you, but I don't want to have penetration. So maybe take baby steps. If it's another person that you're connecting with, again, still take baby steps. Cuddle, kiss. Maybe do some, what was it we did when we were in our teens or early 20s? Heavy petting or dry humping.
That's what I heard.
That's what you heard?
Yeah.
Drink that water, girl. Drink that water. But do some things like that before you actually try penetration. And then you can see what's going on. I have personally experienced where we were having a really good time and someone, when it was time for penetration, we couldn't penetrate, right? It went to sleep. Let's say that it went to sleep. So it was like, okay, whatever. Let's continue doing other things. So having some tools in your tool bank, so that if you can't do penetration, you can have some toys, so the person can still have some relief. It's a good thing to do. But take it baby steps. Try to dry humping. Try some oral sex, and see how you're responding to that person, because it could be you're just not attracted to that person. It happens too.
Yeah. When I was reading that and I was hearing him say the lady was, I'm assuming it was a lady, it may not have been, because he didn't say, he said the person wasn't kind. I was thinking sometimes that comes, I think you kind of alluded to this in the beginning of the show. Sometimes people are really frustrated because they haven't had any and they're excited, and then it doesn't come the way they want it to come, and things come out their mouth that they don't mean.
Yes, and how many times has this happened before? Was this the first time that happened? Because as a person, if this has been happening ongoing, it can get frustrating, right? And we may say something ugly, not meaning it, but still not understanding why we're having this issue. And if you haven't taken the time to see what's going on with you physically, that can be frustrating to your partner. I've had people say that sometimes when their male partner had ED, that they would blame the female or the other partner, partner. So when you blame that person, then it comes up and you say that, oh, it's me, or they never say it's me, but they blame you, then I will attack. Most people are going to attack because you're blaming me for something that I have no clue what's going on. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other thing I want to add to that, before we go to our third question, is don't use it against the person. Because this could go, I know we're talking about men. It could go either way, like you said earlier. Women can have issues too, but we're going to focus on our men.
Right.
But I'm saying this to the person who's with that man who's having the problem. Don't use it against them later. Don't get mad and say, that's why you don't work. And that's why, don't do that. Don't do that, because you will lose their respect. And if they deserve your respect, don't do that out of anger. Anything. I always say that, like, don't use anything someone shares with you against them later. But that is the worst, especially if they trust you enough to be vulnerable with you, right? And talk to you. Don't do that. And don't tell your girlfriends.
That part.
I know you want to. I know you're frustrated.
That part.
But don't do that.
But call somebody like me.
Yes.
If you need to, and we can talk it out and see what's going on and kind of work backwards and figure out some solutions.
Right.
Now, you can also, I've experienced things where you can bring a little humor to the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like to break the ice. It's kind of hard to talk about dysfunctions or some challenges that we're having.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if you guys have humor in your relationship, if you bring some humor into it,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I think one time I told somebody if they didn't get themselves together, if you didn't go to the doctor and get yourself checked out, I'm going to shoot your pinky toe off.
Right.
I don't even have a gun.
Right.
But they laughed and it was like, thank you for making me just comfortable with the conversation and going to get it checked out.
Right.
So know your relationship to be able to do what you need to do.
And the person who called me yesterday, we had a great conversation, and we were talking about, I was saying that if I really care about the person, that is not the most important thing for me, the penetration part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I feel like we could be intimate, we could do fun things, we can make each other feel good other ways, and to take the pressure off, of some men feel so pressured.
But that's
to perform.
internal. That's internal too.
Yeah, but I feel like if they know they're with someone who doesn't have these expectations and they can just be themselves and just relax, and then what happens organically, I think things happen better.
They do happen better, but and that is helpful that the partner, but the person that's experiencing it has to be able to release that pressure as well. And sometimes that's hard to do.
Let's talk about this real quick.
Yes.
She also brought up, I can't believe I didn't say this first. She brought up that when the person was experiencing the erectile dysfunction, she was like wired, like she was ready, right? But because he couldn't do it, she started masturbating, and he got really upset. And she was trying to get him to like join her, like let's do something else, so I can get this off me, right? And we had a whole about 30 minutes conversation just about. She also said that someone's husband went to work, left for work. They had just had sex, left for work, forgot something, went home and caught his wife masturbating, right? And he was very upset. I said, but was someone else in the room? She's like, no, it's just her. But he was upset. I said, well, he probably felt like he should have been enough. But I think that's a great conversation. Like, if you can't do that, then let me do this or do it with me and we could both be happy. But I feel like that man is probably not going to be happy because they feel like they're missing something.
True, and that happens even when it's not some type of challenge there, right? I hear this a lot about people masturbating and a partner catches them or what have you, but the masturbation piece with him. Sometimes we're so fixated. As we get older, we get stuck in one lane, right? If I want it this way, I can't see the other options, regardless if you're trying to get me to come over until later. When we get in an argument, if you think about some of our arguments we have especially as we get older, we're so fixated that the toilet seat needs to be down versus up or whatever the situation may be, that we're not going to budge. I don't care if it's you getting what you need. I'm just not going to budge because I want it to be the one that's to make you happy. So it's a conversation again after the fact to really just bring it home. But masturbation, self-masturbation, or maybe you could have got him to come and give you head. Maybe that could have been an option, right? If he was still there and she was like, let's masturbate, and he wasn't up to that, maybe he could go down if he was a person that does that.
But another thing we were talking about, though, was the vibration, right? Sometimes the sex is really good, and he's done everything he's supposed to do. You're completely satisfied, but you're still vibrating from it. It was so good. You still got that. You still got the edge, and that's why you might do it one more time to, you know what I mean? Because you're vibrating. Your vibration is so high, the sex was so good, and I don't know that a lot of men understand that.
Yeah, that comes back to the education, right? Which is why we talk about sexual education and sexual awareness. Again, a conversation. I think if you can talk to your partner and say, hey, I still had that vibration going, and I don't know if she did that or not, but
right.
I'm still having that vibration so that you guys can orbit. A thing that a lot of men can do is orbit and not really ejaculate with, the semen retention. And that's a way that you can keep it going until you're both ready to climax at the same time or right behind each other.
You said orbit. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So a lot of times when you talk about chi or you talk about tantra, men can loop their ejaculations where you don't actually ejaculate when you come, you can recycle it until you're ready to have an ejaculation, because it is believed in a lot of cultures that, you know, it's life force. If you think about it, it makes you pregnant, semen and eggs and that type of thing. We know history stuff and science. But if you able to orbit that, you can make when he finally does release, he can keep going for a long time. I mean, over and over and over again until you're tired as a female, like, time out, I'm ready to stop. And that's a huge, huge thing for partners, especially for women, because a lot of times our libido is up and down with menopause. Like, we could be ready to have sex for 24 hours and then shut it down for a week, right? So if men can understand how to, if they start to understand that process of orbiting, it can help a lot in the bedroom.
Wow. How do they learn how to orbit? That's going to be a question.
We can talk and I can guide you in the right direction.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
But I would say it's amazing, though. Amazing. Not that I know, but it's amazing.
Okay. All right. Third question, y'all. We're on a roll. We're on a roll. This is great.
Good?
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. All right. So Dina wants to know, what can be done when it seems that my husband is no longer interested in sex?
Wow.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
What else is going on in life? I think a lot of times other things and priorities come up. I know we're in an economy that's really hard and crazy right now. Finances are really crazy. A lot of times men will have their minds on work, kids, finances before, and put sex to the side, which is amazing to us to think, because we always think men think sex first, right, as women. So see what else is going on. We think that the same way that you get out of your space with sex, you know, just remember your partner can do the same. Maybe he's not feeling good about his body. What has changed? Maybe somebody has told him that he is not attractive.
Wow.
You know, maybe you've said some things and don't realize you said something that has turned him off.
Right.
Or done some things that turn him off, right? So again, having that conversation, make it an easy conversation, and just kind of see where his head is at. Like, hey, you know, something's different with us lately. And really have a conversation. But when he gives you that honest answer, don't punish him for that honest answer. A lot of times men will not, and women, I know we're talking about men, but men will shut down so quickly because they feel that being judged or they're not being heard, or if I say something, you're going to make me pay for it for the next year or 6 years or 20 years or whatever the situation may be.
That's right.
So he has to be willing to trust you with the vulnerability. And if he can't trust you, a lot of times sex comes out of the equation for whatever reason. Some people say, well, I'm married to him, or we've been together forever. Maybe just reach this point where he's tired. And he's not going to say anything, so he's just going along with status quo. But status quo means I'm just not going to be bothered right now. That happens a lot in relationships. So see where he's at. If you feel there's tension in a relationship and you guys can't really have a conversation without somebody spouting off or having anger, then a third party needs to come in.
Yes.
So you can start to figure out, because usually sex is the last thing to go in a relationship, or depending on how the relationship is. But when the sex starts to go, there's some other things that you need to work on. And
who can help them with that?
I got you. But we can start a conversation.
Right.
If it's something that's out of my wheelhouse, I have people to refer you to as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would. Okay, I'm going to move on, because I was about to go down the rabbit hole.
You're going to go down the rabbit hole?
And I'm not going to do it today.
And so let me say this.
Yes.
Right? Men have a tendency to be interested in sex, but we have a tendency as women to push them off and not want to be bothered. So there's only so many times that a person is going to approach you until I just give up.
Right.
So now that you're in this space for sex and he's not, you're like, why aren't you attracted to me? Like, well, I've been trying for years or months and you've been pushing me away. So how do you reconnect it? Again, a third party, myself, can help you with that. But sometimes it's a self-evaluation. What have you been doing? If it's nothing, then really we need to have a conversation with your partner to see where it's at.
Hey, go ahead, I'm sorry. You want to say something else?
Sometimes it could be infidelity.
Oh,
right. I think we need to bring that conversation up. But that's usually a very last thing. Infidelity comes in when other things have already happened in a relationship. Yeah.
I was just going to say, don't take it personal.
Absolutely.
You know, until you find out what the facts are.
Absolutely.
Don't take it personal. Because we always, well, not always.
We
a lot of us make it about us. It must be me because I gained 5 pounds because I can't see. I got on
Absolutely.
readers.
Absolutely.
Because whatever.
Right. We make assumptions and don't even have
a lot of
conversation.
assumptions without having the conversation. Yeah, very good. All right, the last question.
With assumptions. Okay, go to
I'm really trying. I really try to. I changed my life years ago.
It's hard though because we get in our heads so much, and like you said, we make it about the 5 pounds we gained, and not about that he was stressed out about how he was going to pay the mortgage this month.
Right.
Yeah.
Or what's going on. Right. So we have Zaire, who spells his name really differently.
Yeah. Can I say it again?
I used to love that name when I was in high school.
Nice.
Yeah, I used to know Zaire.
Did you? Oh.
9th grade.
Nice. Oh.
But my mom was like, he's too old because he wasn't in 9th grade.
Oh, okay. He was well older.
I'm going to leave that right there.
Okay, you leave that right there.
August Martin in New York.
What is Zaire name? Do you know?
I don't know, but girl, he was a
it.
5%. We'll talk about that
Okay, that's
another
another
day. But he was he was way over here. I was like,
that's why it was no.
You want to do what? To me and do what? And I wasn't doing any of it. I was so innocent.
Because you were young too.
Yeah, I was young and innocent, and he was not.
Understand.
And my mom saw him and knew. She's like, no.
That part.
I said, what do you mean no? You see how fine he is?
The finest was trying to prevail.
Yeah. So Zaire, this is not him though. I did check. When the question came in, I was like,
do I know this person?
I said, he don't spell it like that. He don't spell it like he's okay. I'm sorry. It says, I seem to respond to oral sex very well, but when I'm about to have intercourse, I experience erectile dysfunction.
Yes. So I smile.
What does that mean, Mr. Shangela?
A lot of times it's excitement or nerves. If you're not having sex on a regular basis, and let's say, we've been joking about holiday sex, and I'm talking about it's my season, it's the cupping season, it's cuddle season. But if you haven't really had sex in a long time, and we're having a good time, we're together, it's not uncommon for somebody to have a nervous space where either they ejaculate before they penetrate or just can't penetrate at all because of nerves. So, one, let's work on why you had it. When was the last time you had sex? Good question. And I see your brain working, right? And see what it is. Is it one thing I've noticed with some of my clients? They've talked about where they weren't with, maybe they used condoms, and when it came time to put a condom on, it went down. Yeah, that happens a lot. A lot of times that happens because men are becoming. Let me say this: they need sensitivity. They need the touch. They need the skin. But you can't always do that, right? Depending on who you're with and if you're getting your test done and that kind of thing, and what your lifestyle is like. So that could be one issue. If you everything was going good and then you stopped to put the what do you call it, condom on. Brain freeze. Putting the condom on and then it goes down. If you're too excited and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to go in, and you lose it. That's a possibility. Again, medications are such a huge part that we really just don't address that either. And sometimes it's just not working. It just doesn't work. Maybe it's halfway erect and it's not completely erect. So when you're trying to force it, it just goes down because we're trying to force something that's not possible at the time that we're trying to have sex. Does that make sense?
I'm listening.
Okay, I thought I saw a question in your eyeballs.
It's something going on there, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Go ahead. Share.
I was just thinking if he can get an erection during oral sex, and then he loses it. Oh, but you said during intercourse. Does that mean? Because I know somebody's going to ask this. Does that mean that he prefers oral sex, or does it? You gave plenty of examples as to what it could be.
So it could be one of two things. Maybe he's just in the mood for oral sex. Maybe it's the transition from oral sex to sex. Right. It could be maybe if you're laying on your back and he's going down on you, and you say, "Ooh, let's flip over. Let's get it from the back." That quick transition can take him out of his space and put him in his head. A lot of times it's in a head space that we lose it, right? It could be that he just wants oral sex that day. But if that's the case, usually somebody will say that, like, no, I just want to stay here, or they're going to keep you right there in that position until you climax or to whatever the situation, till you're satisfied or that they're satisfied. If it's just oral sex. Go ahead.
No.
No?
You did great. I don't need to add anything to that.
Your head is thinking, but a lot of times it's a transition. Yeah.
I just want men to know that there's a lot of back and forth with men and women, especially in our culture, especially lately, especially since social media. But I didn't know if she's about to pull out something. You know, you never know.
Pull out something.
You never
pull out something.
Oh, she did pull out something. We almost got there. We almost finished. It's important to me, like, when I see our men, like, at an event or they're talking, like, huddled up talking, I love it. They really look like kings to me. I always treat men like kings until they give me a reason not to. No matter what they look like, as far as, like, you know, sometimes we make assumptions. If you look like this, you may not be worthy. I don't know. People do crazy things. But for me, and I just hate that as men get older, just like we do, I feel like we have a great support group as women. We could talk to each other. We have shows. I've yet to see a man, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, I just haven't seen it yet, open up a forum where they're talking about their issues, their vulnerabilities, their challenges, and have support without getting judged. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but I think, so 2 parts. You shared something earlier about treating a man as a king until they show you a reason not to. I would say that you still have to treat them as a king even when they're not acting as a king. Because a lot of times what we'll do is say, well, you're not distributing behavior of a king, right? And you're nothing. Not saying that's what you were saying, but just think about the mass majority. Regardless of still treat me as the way that you think I should be acting, right? Like, I'm a queen regardless of what I do, right? So regardless if I disappoint you, I'm still a queen. Does that make sense? So
it does.
As a king, you still have to treat them as a king even when they disappoint you.
Yeah,
okay. We can agree to disagree. Because it doesn't change who you are. I mean,
right. It won't change who I am.
Because
right.
that could be a sensitive place for most men. Like, if I make a mistake, you're not going to treat me as a king.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah,
I meant long term. Okay. I meant, like, I don't mean I'm going to treat you like a king on Monday, and if you mess up on Tuesday, I'm not going to treat you like a king.
But a lot of women do that.
I'm glad you said that to clarify that. I don't mean it that way. I mean, in general, like, if I treat you like a king in general, and you show me that you're not that, then I won't
respect it.
I won't treat you that way. But I'm also not going to spend time with you either.
Right.
So we ain't got to worry about that. I'm not talking about day-to-day making mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so the other part, there are some groups out there, but a lot of times we don't see as many male groups as we do women, because we're very vocal. A lot of times in male groups, we won't even know what's going on.
Right.
This is not going to tell us that. And a lot of times men do it in different ways, where they'll do it at the game, or they'll do it at the golf club, or they'll do it somewhere and have a conversation and really open up. But the way it looks is different than it is with women sometimes. Because I do hear a few men doing that as well. I did bring out a toy. I don't know how much more time we have, but I wanted to share one thing. So we talk about toys and the toy stores and that type of thing, but there are things in there for men that can help you hold your erection longer. One of my favorite things are rings, right? Cock rings. This one actually has a thing where you can do vibrators in it, where you can keep it on for a little bit longer. But rings, they can, if you think about, let me see, how, for a man, if you think about how you like your sexual activity, in certain ways when you have oral sex or different things, how you hold your penis, the cock ring can do the same thing, right? And it can kind of extend the erection.
The pressure of the cock ring can extend the erection.
Right. So try these one time. I mean, if you never tried it, a lot of men say, I don't want to do toys because that makes me feel handicapped. Try it. It can add a lot of fun. This one with the vibration on it, if you had a female partner or your partner, you can put the vibrators on and you can both get stimulated at the same time with the cock ring that's helping you. That makes sense. So just one little toy today. That's it.
Something new, take it to another level.
Yes.
Something new for the new year.
Yes, it's 2024.
2024 abundance. And that's just not money. That's plentifulness in every aspect of your life, including sex, including orgasms. I want you all to make a pledge to have more orgasms this year. in honor of abundance.
I like the way you did that.
While you are building your businesses, making more money, increasing your spirituality, increasing love. While you're doing all that, make sure you do that as well.
I mean, it's healthy, right?
Very healthy.
Yeah, it helps with the stress.
Helps clear your thoughts.
Gives you creativity.
Clarity. Yep. Creativity. Absolutely.
There you go.
All right. So thank you for you guys. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you watching the show. We're excited. We got some great shows coming up, and I'm excited about that. Thank you, Mrs. Angela, for coming back.
Thank you for
kicking
having me
off
back.
our new year.
Thank you for having me back.
Our resident sexologist for 2024, which means you can't quit this year. You gotta stay with us. All right. And I hope you guys stick with us and help us grow. And how do you help us grow? Share.
I got that right.
Click the button. Just click it. If you could just share with one person and then they share with another person, see how that works? And just like it. Just click. Just click the little thumbs up. Just click it.
Do it one more time. Click. I
All
laugh,
right.
but you're right.
and just know that this is a safe place to demystify a lot of things that we go through, that people say that we shouldn't be doing at our age, the 50 plus tribe, 60 plus for me. So, and we have some beautiful, 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 beautiful guests coming that are even older and that you would never guess it. And they have the energy. I'm just excited for this year. So, just keep those things in mind, okay? And love yourself. Don't forget your self-care. Don't forget to put yourself first so that you can put on the oxygen on the other person. And have a great, wonderful new year.
Love you.
Peace.